All right, and Jennifer, I did receive your question. I don't know if I have the proper answer for you. Tax codes are a little iffy, so we're going to take a look at that as well. But I do want to go ahead and what was on my agenda today, and you guys can just let me know if that fits with things that you guys have. By all means, just so you both know, you are unmuted, or not unmuted, but you have the ability to talk. So you are welcome to unmute yourself and join in collaboration, conversation with me for clarification. We can also use the chat box or Q&A. But my original agenda today was to learn about building out forms inside of the customer portal and how does that translate back into your ConnectWise when it creates a service ticket. Are either of you using the customer portal, the new customer portal today? Just maybe a show of hands. No? Okay. Okay, well, that's okay. So maybe you'll learn something new about the customer portal that may make you want to. Are you guys using something in lieu of the customer portal? Hi, Mark, welcome. Welcome, Todd. We're talking about the customer portal for those of you that are just joining us. So I'm just trying to determine who is using the customer portal today. Maybe a show of hands. Anybody? All right. Well, maybe we'll learn a bunch of new things. So before we dive in, let's start first and foremost with Jennifer, you had a question specifically around tax codes and work types. So what I'd like from you is, I didn't really get much of a chance to take a look at your question just because you just shot it over like minutes before we were hopping on and I was finishing up a call with a partner. But if you could just elaborate a little bit more on what you're looking for and what you guys are trying to accomplish and see if that's something that I can assist in getting you there with. In the interim, anybody else that has joined, if you have any questions, regardless of what my initial discussion is going to be around customer portal, I want to answer your questions first. I want to make sure that you guys are getting what you're here to get. So please feel free to use the chat box as well as the Q&A box to ask any questions that you guys have. In-house work that needs to be billed at a certain tax code every time versus taxing on-site at a different rate. So is this for, like, if any of your engineers are doing work for remote, it's taxed differently than if they're doing work on-site, regardless of the client? Is that what I'm understanding? Okay. Now, help me understand a little bit more then, I'm sorry. In-house repair. So are you guys billing yourselves internally?
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. No, so if I have a customer that we go on site and pick up their computer and work on it in-house, they would need to be taxed in our sales tax jurisdiction versus their sales tax jurisdiction because that's where the work was completed. But I need it to only be for that work type every time.
I got you. Okay, let me get logged into my sandbox and see if I can get you a solution on that. That's a very unique scenario. I am just getting logged into the sandbox here, so bear with me one moment. We can take a look at that. Let me bring this over. I'll do a screen share. And I know enough to be dangerous with tax codes. Stephanie on our team, she is really our finance guru. So we're going to poke around a little bit together on this one. Let's do a screen share. Okay. So here is my sandbox. Let me get my Q&A box open. And everybody else, please, as you have questions, I urge you to throw them in the chat and throw them in the Q&A box, and we will definitely get to those. So in our tax code setup table, I'm just throwing this in as an example. What would that tax percentage be for you guys?
For us, 8.65.
Okay. Okay, so I'm almost thinking we might need to add a level to your tax codes. So we could say, so for their taxes, well, no, because if they have any other products, this is where it gets. So have you done anything in your tax code exemptions?
No, I tried to do stuff in there and it doesn't really work for us. So
okay. So this is work role where you can work on it on the work role, and you can set taxation on a work role level, and then you can set your exemption levels. You can do it on a product type. So from a work type perspective, I don't think that we can tax a specific work type. I think at that point you would have to be taxing it based off of the work role and setting exemptions around the work role for in-house, and possibly just having a work role that's designed around in-house. Such a weird one though, because of the fact that you have to be able to apply two different types of taxes potentially to a situation or scenario. Do you guys ever find yourselves in a position where you're going on site and doing on-site work and then coming back and doing that in-house work where you would have two different work types on that particular ticket?
yeah.
Or
yes.
okay.
And so then I basically just copy the invoice and I bill one out at what would be their tax code on site. And I bill one out that would be the in-house work. And I was just trying to figure out a way if I could stop doing that.
So the only way I can think of innately is that you're going to have like several different, and this is going to really be a pain, is you're basically going to have two tax codes per event. For instance, if we had a combined in-house on-site type of scenario, I would have one tax code, another tax code for if it was just in-house, another tax code for if it was just on-site, and I'd have to do that for every different tax code that we have based off of their cities. So it gets ugly. We see a variation of this for partners in California that have e-waste tax. E-waste tax is all based off of the size of the screen. If you're selling anything with like an LCD screen, for instance, you have to have an e-waste tax, and it's based off of the size. So up to a certain size, it's a certain value. And so you have to have like multiple tax codes for the same client, for the same product, so that it can source through that, because you can't apply more than one tax code to an invoice. So you have to have a layered tax code, which is where you have your various levels here, but it can't assume all of them. So I would like to say that there's an easier way to do it, but I think that the way that you're doing it right now is probably the easiest way, without using something like possibly like an Avalara or something like that, that allows for a little bit more of complex taxation. ConnectWise innately is just not designed for super high level taxation. When they get really granular and there is a need for different levels of complexity beyond just your standard levels and your standard exemptions, at that point, ConnectWise is kind of at its max, and that's where they bring in like an Avalara and say, if you look into a third-party tool that's designed around that, they can help you with it. I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer for you on that.
No, I appreciate you looking at it.
Oh, no problem. What other questions are out there that I could potentially answer for you before we dive into the customer portal? All right, well, I'm going to assume none. But jump in, if they come to you while we're going through, jump in and ask questions. So I am going to bring up another screen. Unfortunately, I can't use my Sandbox customer portal because it is not working. So you are in our live production customer portal. If you have not seen this portal before, you get to this by going to customerportal-admin.myconnectwise.net. This will allow you to begin the build out of the new version of the ConnectWise customer portal. It's actually visually enhanced. It's a lot prettier than what the old portal looked like. There's a lot of things that you can do in here. They're still building upon functionality. It does not bring in the knowledge base. So there's some functions that are still a little wonky. However, it's got, the ability to build in some of the forms that I think was a very popular question that came through from requests from people for wanting to design their custom forms for questionnaires and things like that clients were submitting.
Hey, Rose, we're not seeing the screen, or I'm not anyway.
Oh, maybe I just need to reshare. I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me know that, Joe.
You're welcome. Hello.
All right, let's do that one more time. How about now?
I can see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So if we come here and we take a look, you have basically, here's your domain. So this is where you can make a public facing URL, which is a lot better than what the old portal used to allow. The legacy portal didn't allow for that. So this here is now whatever you put here is your primary extension to the myportallogin.com. So it's not using that na.connectwise or connectwise in the URL at all. So it does give you more of a white labeled feel to it. Your options for signing into the customer portal are very unique now. So it's not so much controlled. You know what, Mark? The portal should be accessible to both on-prem as well as hosted. So if you go to that customer portal-admin.myconnectwise.net, you should, even if you're on-prem, you should have access to that portal. Good question. So when you come in here, you've got, it used to be that you kind of controlled all of the login through ConnectWise Manage Contacts. You still can a bit. However, now they're using SSO for pretty much everything. So you have 3 options of how you can sign into the customer portal. You can do it through Google. So that is G Suite or like a regular Gmail account. If you have, let's say, for instance, a client that doesn't have a G Suite and specific domain, and they use like a Google, just a regular Gmail account, as long as they're listed with that Gmail account as a contact inside of your ConnectWise, they can use their Gmail account and say, I want to use Google, and it'll authenticate to that Gmail account. Same thing with Microsoft. This is going to authenticate through formerly Microsoft Office 365. I don't know what, I think they're calling themselves Microsoft 365 now. I don't know what they're calling it, but it's using the Microsoft account. So if you have a Microsoft account, whether it is just so that you can get Teams or whether it is so that you can be or you're a full-blown Office 365 partner and you're in hosted emails, or you just have a unlicensed account, but you have a login, right? It'll authenticate through the Office 365 login. And then the generic login. Now this one is where it gets a little bit different, and this one's a little unique, so it's important to know and understand. If I'm using the generic login, what's going to happen is, show of hands, how many have you gone to the home.connectwise.com or portal.connectwise.com and logged in there? So that's pretty much what your clients are going to see when they go to log in, is it's going to take them to that face, that interface. So there is a point where they will basically register for their own ConnectWise portal login. It won't be attached to your company. It won't be attached to anything else. It literally is just their own ConnectWise login that allows for that SSO authentication. Let's see here. So Daniel says, several or many ConnectWise Tuesdays ago, I reported the SSO broke exporting MS project to manage project template, but the fix is just to authenticate using SSO twice after it errors. And then, oh, awesome, Daniel. Thank you for that. I appreciate that update. So you are able to get a generic login for SSO. This was a really great add-in by ConnectWise. And the reason that it was such a great add-in by ConnectWise is because at first, before they put this in here, you were only able to use the portal if you had a Microsoft Office 365 or G Suite account. So having another way to authenticate in, just a generic one for any of our on-prem or, you know, hosted email, hosted exchange that is not Office 365, that is not G Suite, gave us that additional option. So that's only going to impact anybody that you have that's using something other than Microsoft Office 365 or Google or G Suite. So if you have like a SBC Global or a Yahoo partner, that's where you would see that at. Okay. All right, beautiful. So in the branding section, now you can put in your logos. You can dictate your colors. You have a headline. You have a subheadline. And if you click the preview here, this just gives you some insight as to what to look for. We haven't really built our portal. We use Connect Booster, so we don't use a ton in the portal portion. We're a little bit unique in how we operate. But I think eventually we'll build it out, and this will look a lot prettier. But this was just exemplary for our call today. So. The manage side talks about what boards to include, what boards to exclude, where you want your tickets to go, and what you want that source to be. If you are linked into PayPal or Connect Booster, you can connect that through your portal so that it becomes just one portal. Our primary has been the Connect Booster portal, so we did not link them as of yet because we haven't chosen to go live with the ConnectWise portal through here just yet. Users, I can't click in there, unfortunately, because this is my production, so it is associated to our ConnectWise, which will show all of our contacts. But if you click into users on your screen and take a look at your setup, you will see every contact that you have in your system. By default, ConnectWise is going to make them a standard user, just a kind of regular standard user, which is one of the lowest level settings that they can be in. You can select multiple and update them to billing contacts. If you want them to be billing contacts, it gives them more information and availability, accessibility. You can make them general admins. As just kind of a side note, if you give somebody admin access, it does not give them access to anything outside of their own company information, but it just gives them permission to be able to add users, remove users. So if they want to, you know, put in contacts, that's a great way to populate contacts in your system, is just supporting the end user base. And it'll give them access into the portal, and those will come in by standard as standard users as well, so they can really only see and manage their own tickets and submit tickets. And then our services is where we go to build out what we want our tickets to be and how we want our tickets to perform. So this is the part that's pretty cool and pretty unique, that I think ConnectWise has done a good job in really kind of redeveloping what this looks like and making some additional functionality. Innately, if I click this plus sign here, I'm going to give it a name for the category. I'm just going to call this ConnectWise Tuesday for today. There we go. Okay. So innately, you look at this, and basically the look and feel of what you see gives you the impression you can only do kind of a step one, step two sort of scenario. However, all of these options are able to kind of stack on top of each other, and you can really build some fun stuff out with it. Does anybody have any examples of what they would like to see built out in a form design here that we can take a look at together? And if not, what I'll just do is I think like new user add is one that I've been doing a lot more frequently with a lot of my partners, and it's had a good place in there. So if you guys don't have any suggestions of anything you want to see, we can definitely just build out adding a new user, because there's a lot of information you need when you're adding a new user. That's a popular one to say, hey, I want a form for this so that I can ask them all of these questions before they submit the ticket. And this is a great place to do it. All right, so I don't see anything coming over, so we are going to move forward with that. So we would type in our title here. I would say new user request. And then I have all of these kind of fields here that I can populate to dictate how I want to receive the information, whether I want to limit what their choices are, whether I want to, you know, enforce certain choices or give them freedom of text in there. So for the first one, I'm going to grab just a text box. The difference between a text box and a text area is how many characters you are allowed in there. Okay. So text box is quite large, whereas, or I'm sorry, text area is quite large, whereas the text box is a little smaller. I don't know the actual limitation of characters there. So I'm going to drag and drop that in. It seems as though either I'm going really slow or it didn't take it. Okay, here we go. So in this right here, if I click on it, my configuration pops up to the right. So I would say field name, first name. I can make it required. I can put a minimum or maximum amount of characters if I want in there. Grab another text box, and I can just drop it right in there. I don't know why that one came in so big. We're going to do that again. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. First name, required. Last name, required. Maybe I want to put in a drop down. You know what? I'm not going to do a drop down. I am going to do a date. So we're going to grab a date, put that in here. Start date, required. We'll do another date. need by. Sometimes we have a start date that's, you know, a month out. We don't need this done for like another 3 weeks, or maybe they're a month out, but we need it in right away. This gives our clients the opportunity to communicate that information to us so that we can prioritize accordingly as necessary. Then we do another text box here. We'll call it department. And I just leave it just like that. If there's anything else you guys want to see in there field-wise, let me know. But we'll call that page 1. And then in page 2, because we have a page break here, we can say additional information, additional requests, you know, however you want that to look. And then we can now do like a drop down and say, you know what, let's not do a drop down. Let's go a checkbox. Equipment needed. And come here, and what do we normally offer to our partners, right, and our clients? So workstation is a workstation plus laptop plus phone plus what other equipment might we need? That's a good start. So leave it there with those three things. They can click in what they need, what they don't need. Grab in another checkbox field here. Check that again. Another checkbox field here. This one we might say requested software. MS Office, Adobe, line of business apps, whatever those are. If you guys have some very specific ones, like if you guys are a consistent reseller of, like, let's say for instance WebRoot or Proofpoint or something along those lines, and those and that software needs to be associated with that particular user, and you know that your clients are all in line with your standards, you can list it out that way. If you have a variety of standards dependent upon the client, you might want to make that very generic. If they're going to need an antivirus license or an anti-spam license or something along those lines. Okay. All right. So then we also have we should put a phone number in up here. Not that number. Text box here. Employee phone number. Okay, so this is kind of a general, right? Like, so there's a lot of things that you can do with this to talk about what specific needs you have around bringing in a new hire. So when we click the next button, and then I get to set up the actual ticket side of it and say, okay, I would like this to come in as a new hire request. I dictate what service board to put it to. My status as default and type is default. It's going to take our system level defaults, but if you have a certain status, like I'd like these to come in personally as new clients submitted for us. New clients submitted tells us that we have, it'll kick out an email then to the contact that says, thank you, we've received your request. Whereas new does not. It's more used for an internal purpose. When we create tickets internally, we don't need that request to go out. So I'll put this as new client submitted. And then our types for default, like if you guys have a type subtype item and you're using, show of hands, how many of you guys are using auto templates? on your service board today. Daniel asks, can this actually map to fields and objects in the ticket, like mapping to tasks in the ticket, or create and add configurations or update? That's a really good question, Daniel. I wish the answer was yes, but it is not. It's basically going to build all of this information into the initial description box. But that's where the using auto templates comes into play. So if you know that you have specific tasks associated to setting up a new employee, and Jill, I saw that you guys are using them. Are you guys using, do you have an auto template in place for new hires for your general best practices? Because what you can do is you can tell the type, subtype, and item to match whatever you have pre-associated to that auto template, and it will actually bring in the auto template. I actually just recently tried this with one of my partners. We were very excited to see it happen. I want to say probably about 6 to 8 months ago, I tried it with another partner previously, and it didn't work. So they're making the advancements, and it's a really positive advancement that they're making. So we're seeing consistent progression from ConnectWise. This portal is probably a little less than a year old. So they've brought it a long way in that year. So who knows, maybe in the future it may be able to map to different things like tasks. But as of today, the answer unfortunately is no. But use those ticket templates. Are you familiar, Daniel, with the auto templates in the service board setup table and how those work? Okay, perfect. So then I would just use the type, subtype, and item to associate to an auto template. And I don't think we have any in place in our production. So I'm not going to select all of that, but this will read your type, subtype, item from your service board that you said that it belongs to, and then it will automatically initiate that auto template for you. And then you can determine what the priority is. I like to keep everything kind of a mid-level priority. And then I can increase it if they say they need it ASAP. But you are going to have certain things that come in from tickets that are going to be higher priority, and you can set them up that way. So now I can hit save and publish. And now we've got this CW Tuesday one here, okay? If I needed to turn it off, I would just turn it off here. That turns it back on. As you saw me come over here, I can rename it, I can copy it, and I can delete it. So if you have several tickets that are similar, then you're going to have the ability to copy it and just kind of make some tweaks and adjustments to it, so you don't have to redesign that form each and every time. Maybe it's just rename the things that you want in there, remove the things that aren't pertinent to that next level. And so now that this is published, I can actually log into the portal. Give me just one moment here. I'm going to actually pause my share for just a moment. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that I'm able to display this for you guys. But again, I do have to proceed with caution because it is attached to our production and just for protection and privacy of our clients. And my computer is running a little slow, so I apologize. All right, Daniel, thank you so much for joining for the time that you were able to. I hope to see you on our next ConnectWise Tuesday. Have a great day. I'm just adding in one of my many email addresses as a contact, and oh, look at that. I have one that I can use. Perfect. Okay. So I am going to unpause my share, and I'm going to come here to bmk dot, oh, what is it? I think my portal login.com. Here we go. Actually, I think I need to open this in an incognito window because I am logged into Office 365. Let me reshare that for you guys because I don't think you can see that. bmk.myportallogin.com. Okay, so nope, I don't want to sign in with Microsoft. I'm going to sign in with Google. rose.avila17@gmail.com. Next, so here's where you guys can see an example of actually signing in with Gmail. And we can enter in my password, which I hope I remember. Oh, beautiful. It works. Okay. So this is what your clients will see when they log in. This login that I have here as an example is your basic standard login. This is your standard user, okay? So they have their profile information down here. For me, my name is Test in the system, so I can log out. But there's not a lot we can do. I can look at any open existing tickets I might have, or I can submit a ticket. So I'm going to submit a ticket, and here's where we have some options in here. Here's our CW Tuesday that we just created. So when I do this, I'm going to come to New User Request. I'm going to say the new user is let's say John David, who's going to start, and I have a date picker because I said it's a date field, on May 27th. I need this done by no later than the 22nd, so I have time to do what I need to do in my HR department on the back end. Their department is going to be Gopher, and their phone number is 12345678990. Very unique I am. Okay, so now it takes me to my next page, and here's our additional information. So I can say that I need a laptop and a phone for this person. I need requested software, just MS Office. They don't need Adobe. And then I can hit submit. So this is going to create the ticket on our service board. And I will get a Gmail email saying, hey, we got your ticket. So this is what it looks like. So kind of going back to Daniel's original question about mapping to fields, this is how it populates inside of the ticket in your ConnectWise as well. So it's just showing you kind of header information with everything associated to it. I'm actually going to pull the ticket up. After I open up the ticket, I'll share that screen with you guys so you can see it. All right, so I am going to do a new share. Okay, so you guys can all see my ConnectWise now. Show of hands if you can see ConnectWise. Yes, awesome, thank you. Okay, so if you see it brought in all of the information here, here's the email address. And this is what it looks like inside of the ticket, that initial discussion or our initial description here. So it's just got it listed out. But what's great about that is that at least it gives you the information. It's a place for you to ask the questions that you need so that you're not receiving the tickets that say, hey, we have a new user, John David, starting on the 27th. And you don't know anything else, right? So I can look at this and know that they need a new laptop and a phone. So that might be something I need to quote them so I can, get a copy of this over to sales so they can begin their quoting process. In the meantime, we can log into our system and our tools and start building out the pieces that need to be done on the back end from the tech side of it. So we're allowing our team to be a little bit more proactive in this situation as opposed to reactive. Now, what I didn't include in my form is like additional information box. So you can put like a text box in there that says additional information. So because that wasn't there, I can come back as the, let's reshare, as the user and say, well, I didn't have a spot to fill that in because Rose didn't think ahead when she created it. So let me reshare here back to our portal. So as the end user, I can come in here and just write in a new message. Also, we need him to be set up with a data connection. His current location, or where we are putting him, currently doesn't have a jack. So now I know I need to go out there and probably do, like if I run cables specifically, great, I can get on that. If I don't, I can say, great, I need to get somebody in there to see how much it's gonna cost to do a cable run for them, to do, maybe just single drop or something like that. So now this information was updated by the end user. If I come back here once again, and I apologize for the flipping back and forth here, guys. If I come back here again to my ConnectWise and I refresh this ticket, I also have this additional information in here that was provided. So if you're not using the portal, if you've shied away from the portal because of, yes, Mark, this will pull in from your individual board types of board and type and subtype. Actually, I'll show you. Come back to that share. I think it was this one. Share here. So if I come back into CW Tuesday here, I go next. For my type, I can drop this down. These are all our types from that particular board. And then, so if I were to say like ConnectWise support, then subtype, we don't have ConnectWise manage, and then item. Do I have anything? We don't have anything under the item. So then I could have brought this in under the ConnectWise support CW manage ticket. It would have automatically populated that information. So those fields do and will map. But if you have shied away from using the ConnectWise portal for your customers because it was not aesthetically pleasing, and trust me, I know I've been involved in the ConnectWise portal for going on 9 years now, so I understand. They completely rewrote it, they completely revamped it, and as you can see, it's a lot more conducive to what partners need and are looking for, so you can really get some structure in there. The one thing that you cannot do is you cannot designate ticket types per client. Right, so we get that a lot is, okay, well, I have a very specific build out for a particular client. Can I designate, can I create that button just for them? Or, we have some partners that, they're dual language and they say, we need the button for our people in this area to be able to be, in a different language. Can we do that? Whatever you create as your options is going to globally show to everybody. There is not a level to be able to restrict that to say only these clients can see this button, only these clients can see this button. So it is very important to know that going in there, that whatever you create, if it's very client specific, it is going to be open and available for all of your clients to see that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Otherwise, if I were to open up permissions on my, oh yeah, Mark, this portal is absolutely available. Now that being said, you have to go in and you have to build it out and you have to publish it. So once you publish your domain, it's going to ask you if you want to write over the existing domain that you have in your portal today. So where your old portal URL lives, the legacy is it actually lives at the bottom of the My Company screen and Manage. So if I actually pull up, let me find where my sandbox is. Here we go. Let me reshare this. Okay. So if I come into the My Company screen, and I scroll all the way down to the bottom, this is where your customer portal URL default lives. So when you go in and you set up your portal through the admin dash, what is it? It's oh my goodness, I can never remember the actual URL. I have to like start typing it. Customer portal dash admin. I always want to say admin first. Customer portal dash admin.myconnectwise.net. So when you go there and you start building that, it's going to ask you if you want to publish this to your portal link. And if you say yes, it will overwrite the link that you have in there. If you have a link in your emails, like in your service tickets and things like that, those would be options and areas where you would include, it would automatically change and update it. If you say no, then you can populate it when you're ready to. They can live independent. Oh, absolutely. And because one isn't relying on the other, you can have both portals, like you can be building out this portal in the background and have it live and put a beta set of people on it and still be using your legacy portal without any issues or hiccups there. Let me go ahead and get you the chat box right here. So that URL is customer portal dash admin.myconnectwise.net. There you go. So I just threw that in the chat. So anybody that wants to take a look at it, I get a little more excited about the customer portal than I used to with this. It gives some great branding. I did want to go ahead and really quick just kind of show you what it looks like if you're logged in as an admin. So bear with me just one moment. And I'm going to update my permissions as the contact. And I'm just going to do it through ConnectWise, and it should populate out the same that you've always done it through set your customer portal options. I can put my security level as admin, save, save. Okay, so now I'm going to come back here. Let me reshare with you guys one more time here to our portal. Share and refresh. All right, let's try and log out and log back in. Again, we're going to sign in with Google. It doesn't look like it took. Let me do it through my customer portal admin settings. Okay, since I have this filter down, I can show you really quick now. If I do new share and share. Okay, So this is what it looks like inside your users. I have it filtered just for myself here. I'm a standard user, okay? So if I drop this down, here's a list of all of the different permissions that we can assign to people. So standard user, it says this user can create their own tickets and can comment on existing tickets, versus a ticket read only. They can only read their own tickets, but they can't create them. The billing admin can pay invoices as well as submit their own tickets and view projects. Ticket manager can create tickets for other users and comment on existing tickets. And the full admin role has functionality for all admin features. So I'm going to give myself full admin and hit save. And then let me come back to our other screen. Let's see if that took. Here we go. So now as an admin, I can see any kind of projects that were open or closed. And here I have the ability to create new users. So if I wanted to create a new user with access, I'll give it our John David that we were creating with an email address, john@tech.com, with a phone number. And I can make them have different permissions as well to our portal. And this is very specific to testing companies portal. So I'll just say that he's a standard user and hit save. And this is going to create him not only in here, but it's also going to create him as a contact in ConnectWise. So we don't have any kind of payment portal connected in here right now. If we did, that would also show up here where we could pay invoices as well. But because we don't, this is what we've got. So a lot more functionality than what used to be there. When they first rolled out the portal, it continues to grow. The forms, I think, are phenomenal. So what questions does anybody have in regards to the portal or, anything ConnectWise Manage? We've got about 6 minutes left. Yes, Mark, this is being recorded. So it will be available on our Facebook, which is facebook.com/Baring-McKinley. And then marketing also takes and gets those pushed over to our YouTube channel. Let me actually get you guys the YouTube URL. Give me just one moment here. I'll put that in the chat as well. Okay, so that's the URL to our YouTube channel as well. So you can go in and you can view all of the things that that we went over. I would say give it probably 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. I don't know how quickly they get that populated over, but all of our prior ConnectWise Tuesdays as well are in there. So let's see, we have February, January. It looks like we're still getting that populated. So we have all ConnectWise Tuesdays through February uploaded to YouTube as well. If you have 2 companies, can you set up 2 portals? So that's a really good question. And when you mean 2 different portals, are you talking about 2 different portal URLs for your organizations? Because I think then you can define that, if you're using a Streamline IT sort of scenario, where it can white label that, but it's really premised off of your primary login. So I'm going to say I don't believe 100% that you can, so much as you can segment the boards out. Now, I would reach out to ConnectWise to confirm that answer. The portal is still so new that we don't know all of the answers about it. So there might be capability that we're not yet familiar with. I'm going to say off the cusp, it's really white labeled for one individual company. So maybe have dual branding in there. Otherwise, I would definitely recommend reaching out to ConnectWise and seeing if they can get you more info on that. Good question. All right. Well, I really appreciate all of you attending today, and Will be back next week with Automate. So we definitely look forward to you all joining and being a part of that. If you have any questions or things that you would like us to discuss, please send an email to me at rose@baringmckinley.com. That's Rose, and I'm putting it in the chat. The more insight you guys can give me about the things that you want to know and learn, the more beneficial these adventures will be for you guys. I really enjoy the journey together. Have a wonderful and safe week, and we will see you all next Tuesday.